Welcome, everybody, to the Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. I'm Will, and guess who's back?
Yeah,
Brandon's back.
back, bro. I'm happy to be back. Feel a lot better.
That's good, that's good. So Brandon's back today. We're doing another audio pod. Like I said yesterday, still trying to get some settings squared away, but it's not going to deter us from doing what we love. Raw review tonight. I don't know if I don't think I want to do an NXT review. One, there's not much announced for the show besides Walter and Roderick Strong, which I'm excited for, but I can watch that and not have to cover it. And two, I'm just really not feeling NXT right now. Not much else to say. But we're not here for NXT, we're here for Raw. And Brandon, last night, WWE seemed to book themselves into a corner yet again, multiple times actually on this show. I certainly have my thoughts on the show, but Brandon, overall, when you watched Monday Night Raw last night, what were your thoughts?
And it's crazy because as the weeks keep going, you think, well, this week's definitely the worst Raw. But then WWE breaks their record again the next week and follows it up with the even worse Raw. And that's what happened last night. So another worst Raw I've ever seen for now.
Yeah, Brandon, I think you need to speak a little bit louder. You're coming in low on my OBS. But yeah, I definitely agree in that sense because last week I was talking about how that was one of the worst Raws I've seen in the last, I don't know, what did I say, Brandon? Last couple of years? And then tonight, if that was if last week was one of the worst Raw in the last couple of years, then what was tonight? Tonight was even worse. It was a worse of a show. It legitimately had nothing I cared about going into the show. And coming out of the show, it had very few things that I can look at and say were good. WWE booked themselves into a corner again. They put the two Royal Rumble challengers up against one another, knowing that neither of them lose because neither of them can look weak going into the Royal Rumble, especially if there are rumors out there that Seth Rollins might beat Roman Reigns. And I want to talk about that in a second. But Brandon, they booked themselves into two corners last night. One with Rollins and Lashley, and they worked out of that, maybe not to the effectiveness that we wanted them to. It would have been better off if that match was never booked, but it was. And Damien Priest and Kevin Owens. And for what it was a good match, but it was still a corner that they booked themselves into. So, Brandon, I want to get your thoughts on the corners that they booked themselves into last night.
Yeah, they do it all the time. And I don't know why. It's really it's really it's really frustrating when they book themselves in the corners because they really don't have to.
Yeah.
There's other options they can do, but they don't. But it's once the Bobby and Seth match was announced, you already know what the outcome was going to be.
Right.
So Damien, the Damien and KO match was really good. So I mean, that's not the problem. It's it's both guys. KO needing a win, but then also, Damien really shouldn't be taking his first loss. Really, I think until he loses the championship, because he's been on a hot streak since he's been called up.
Right.
So I think to just have him, lose his streak, which he's been doing a really good streak, having 5 matches, just a free TV match on Raw to a Kevin Owens who's been losing. I don't think that really looks good. But on the bright side, I think this is going to lead to a rivalry with Kevin Owens and Damien Priest for the United States Championship. So, I'm not. It's whatever,
Yeah, and we'll kind of get into where we think that's going a little bit later. But for now, all I have to say about that is that you've booked yourself into an impossible situation when you're talking about both of those guys. Like Brandon said, Kevin Owens really doesn't need to be taking losses right now. He just signed a big deal, and since that big deal, I don't think he's won a match. Now, I may be incorrect. However, I don't think he's won a singles match. He needs a win. He needs to be built up. And they built him up last night by having him pin the champ, but who does that hurt? That hurts Damien Priest, the guy who you've put time and effort into and actually has been booked, in my opinion, pretty well since being called up to the main roster. He's one of the rare people. He hasn't lost cleanly. He's lost by DQ and countout, but since when does WWE care about DQ and countout? Wins or losses. Pinfalls and submissions are the only thing that matter to these people, and you just had Damien Priest take his first pinfall loss before he's losing that title. I've always said champions shouldn't lose on TV. It makes them look weak. Damien Priest not only lost his first match, but he also lost as a champion. And since WWE has this narrative that the only way you can create new stars is by not new stars, but the only way you can create title matches is by having your champions lose, it's a mindless narrative that only hurts two parties. It hurts the champion because then they have to take a loss to get to that match, and it hurts the challenger because you know after they beat the champion, they're not going to beat him again. So you saw it with Dolph Ziggler. He didn't pin Damien Priest, but he got the championship contenders match, which is a dumb concept. They need to burn them, and then lost the title match. So, and as for the Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins thing, there was one of two scenarios. Either you have one of them lose clean and look weak, which I'm glad they didn't do, or you have a DQ and you eliminate both men looking weak, and you have them, go out on their backside after being attacked, which is what they did. But guys, WWE booking themselves into corners is nothing new. Brandon, I kind of thought of this last night while watching the show when I said it was worse than last week. What made this show worse than last week, in your opinion?
Brock wasn't on the show.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Could it also...
less stuff announced.
Yep, I was going to say, could it also have been because we didn't really know what was going in, or what we were seeing going into it, and then when we got it, it didn't come across as anything good?
They didn't really care about the wrestling. I mean, they really never care about the wrestling, but this week it was like just even less.
It felt neglected.
Looks like that's what it's shaping up to be next week too.
Yeah, because next week's show is very segment heavy, and we'll kind of talk about that when we get to that portion of the show. But yeah, definitely this week's Raw was much worse than last week, and I think it's the fact that nobody cared about anything going into it, and I think WWE is terrible at building natural hype. And another thing that Adam said, I was talking to Adam last night, and he said watching Raw is kind of depressing for him. Because there's nothing he cares about. It's a hard show to watch. And then you go and watch an AEW show, and everything feels lively, and it feels hype. AEW creates natural hype. And Raw doesn't do that. Anyway, we're going to get into the review. We started off with Big Time Cringe, Becky Lynch. Becky says they are less than 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble, and the division has never been hotter. Brandon, is the new definition of hot really cold? Because this division is not hot whatsoever.
I looked at my TV screen very weird when she made that statement.
Yeah, I think Becky Lynch and the writers knew what they were doing when they threw that line in there, and I think they know the show is bad. She says it's so hot that stars from generations past are coming back. Like Lita, like the Bellas, like Michelle McCool, like Kelly Kelly. The WWE Women's Division retirement home has been broken out of. She says they're all hoping they win the Royal Rumble and have a chance to face her at WrestleMania because she makes stars out of people. When was the last time Becky Lynch made a star out of somebody? Liv Morgan? Nope. Bianca Belair? Nope. Who else? Is she going to make Doudrop a star? Nope.
No, she's not.
Whoever she faces at WrestleMania, which is looking like Bianca Belair? Nope. She says she has kindly given Doudrop her taste of the big time at one of the biggest events of the year. She says the people weren't clamoring for Doudrop, and she didn't get herself that title match. She said as in Becky gave her a title match. Becky says she makes people better and then beats them. She says Doudrop didn't make a name for herself, someone else did. She says a Doudrop won't make a name for herself as long as she runs the industry. Something I noticed here. They've been kind of teasing the name change back, like Doudrop won't do this, Doudrop won't do that. But that one was the only one that kind of felt real. Brandon, do you think we're leading back to a name change, or do you think this name is just kind of there and that ship has sailed?
Well, the report came out that they were going to, and we know how WWE like to take their time with things. So they can still do it. I thought it was going to be more of a immediate thing, but I guess not. So they still can. At this point, I don't really care. Whatever.
Yeah. That was the only really tease that felt real. Doudrop comes out and says that she didn't give her anything, or says that Becky didn't give her anything. She got herself the match at the Rumble. She says if it was really her plan to face her instead of Bianca, it was the biggest mistake of Becky Lynch's career. Becky says she got Doudrop the win last week, and if she follows her lead tonight, Doudrop can get another win too. Bianca makes her way to the ramp. Bianca says Becky's spitting nonsense about being the greatest, but you can't spell greatest without EST. She says she is the EST of WWE. Oh, really? You haven't told me that for the past 104 weeks. And the only reason Doudrop is facing Becky is because Becky is scared of Bianca. Bianca says Becky is just buying time because she is going to win the Royal Rumble, or she might challenge either one of them. Liv Morgan walks out and says that Bianca and her may be teaming tonight, but she is entering the Royal Rumble match, and in 2 weeks, she will be winning. She says for that to happen, Bianca will be one of the 29 other women she will be outlasting. Doudrop pretends to sleep, and Brandon, I need you to do your impression of the way Doudrop said boring.
Boring!
Yeah, Doudrop's accent is absolutely insufferable. Nothing against Scottish people, but her accent is bad. Doudrop pretends to sleep and tells them both to shut up and calls for a ref so they can start the match. Brandon, is there anything to make of this segment? It felt just like a big waste of time to me.
It was. The match was like...
It was 3 minutes. It was 3 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. What is happening to this women's division, man? It's so sad. These matches they're not even long.
And I find it funny how Maurice dropped a, do you remember the 2-minute matches line to Beth Phoenix? And in my head, I was like, yes, I saw one earlier tonight. Maurice must think we have bad memory, because I vividly remember seeing one earlier tonight and last week. So, I don't know what Maurice is on about changing the division, because it looks to me that they're going back to the way they were before Maurice, or during Maurice's time. Anyway, this segment was a major waste of time. There was no reason to have it on the show. And yeah, it was I believe it was 15 minutes from the time Raw came on the air to now. I missed like the first 2 minutes of Raw. I came in with Becky Lynch making her way to the ring. Did they play their annual MLK video package at the start of the show?
Not.
What?
They didn't.
Okay, so that video package they played during the show was...
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't miss much. Okay. Chad Gable and Otis are backstage preparing for their graduation ceremony. Then we get the tag match, Bianca and what do you call Doudrop, Brandon?
Candy fumble.
Yeah, Becky and Candy Fumble versus Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan. Candy Fumble and Bianca start. Bianca flips out of offense and tries for suplex. Doudrop powers her up, but Bianca counters with offense. However, Doudrop takes her out. She goes for offense and Becky tags in. Bianca hits a dropkick and tags in Liv. Liv knocks Bianca. Oh, no. Okay. I confused myself. Liv knocks Doudrop off the apron and hits a dropkick followed by offense in the corner. She hits a missile dropkick and a double knees for 2, which Doudrop breaks up out of nowhere. That actually didn't look bad. Doudrop flying in the ring and breaking it up actually didn't look bad. Bianca looks for the KOD but can't get her up. She shoves her into the corner and hits a splash. Liv sends Doudrop to the outside and Becky rolls Liv up for 2. The two go at each other with strikes, but Becky hits a manhandle slam and goes for the cover. However, Doudrop breaks it up at 2. She goes for the cover on Liv, and I guess she forgot she wasn't legal. So she drags Becky back to the corner and tags in. She hits a splash on Liv for the 3 count. And after the match, she hits a bonsai drop on Becky Lynch. Brandon, this match went 3 minutes. You want to talk about the segment being a waste of time? This match was a waste of time. 2 things I gathered from this. 1, Bianca Belair is winning the Royal Rumble. At what point during this 3 minutes did Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch interact with each other? They didn't. That's a classic case of wrestling creative holding off 2 opponents from each other, just like they do with the MJF and CM Punk in AEW. 2, Liv Morgan's buried. She took the pin last week in the triple threat match. She took the pin last week in the tag team match. If you want any more confirmation that Bianca Belair is winning the Rumble, she didn't take the pin in this match to keep her strong. Now, actually, Bianca Belair might not win the Royal Rumble match, but she will be facing Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. I guess that's a better way to put it because there's 3 people that I think could win: Bianca, Naomi, and God forbid Lita. But now, if there is a legend that has to win because WWE wants to unload the retirement home, if there is a legend who has to win, unfortunately, it's Lita. But I think the Royal Rumble needs to go to Naomi. She's the only one with a constant storyline that's been building, and she's doing the classic screwed by authority. So I think that's a good way for her to win the Rumble if she eliminates Sonya Deville.
And her match with Charlotte a couple weeks ago was actually, it's pretty good. I mean, I had a couple botches, but that happens. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. And,
I'm hoping
get that again at Mania. And
yeah,
I like it.
And we're getting it again this Friday apparently, and I'm hoping that it's probably not going to be as good because they're not going to give it as much time, but I'm hoping that it's good and it's a bright spot on that show because it definitely needs bright spots. But this tag team match was a waste of time. Absolutely no reason to have it on the show. Liv Morgan's buried. Bianca Belair is facing Becky Lynch at the Rumble. Doudrop stands no chance of the Rumble. I think they're going to have... Now, what about this, Brandon? If they don't want to do Bianca and Becky, what if we see Ronda Rousey?
See that?
I have a hard time believing Becky Lynch is just going to beat Doudrop clean.
And man, if they do want to do Ronda and Becky, the thing we've been wanting, the only thing about it is Becky isn't in the same character that she was. And she was one who made that entertaining. I mean Ronda did too. So like the only thing now about that is Ronda would have to win.
Right.
They dropped the man gimmick for this big time stupid one for I don't know why.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. They can get around that because they can have Ronda come back and talk about how much Becky's changed, and they can kind of
yeah, for sure. I see what you mean.
They can kind of fit it to where the roles are reversed. You know what I mean? Like Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but you have to to fix the roles here because it's not going to make sense if you try to keep the same roles.
We know what you mean.
Huh. Santana signed with Terminus. Jonathan Gresham's promotion. Hmm.
Interesting.
Anyway, Reginald and Dana backstage. Dana Brooke.
Gosh.
Reggie asks Beth Phoenix and Edge if he can beat Omos tonight. Edge says he has seen Reggie do incredible things, but he has no chance. Beth then compliments Dana Brooke for absolutely zero reason. Dana Brooke, I have more wrestling skill in my left pinky nail than Dana Brooke has in her entire body.
I guarantee you Beth Phoenix got paid a whole bunch of money just to say that line.
Vince McMahon is backing the money truck into her driveway as we speak. Damien Priest walks in and greets both of them. Edge says he likes the new side of Damien. Priest says he wants to pick Edge's brain about the Royal Rumble. He's basically, hyping up the fact that Edge has won too. Yes, Damien, we know Edge has won too. He won last year's. As he is talking to Damien, Beth is handed a note from Maurice. It says that she wants to meet Beth woman to woman in the ring. Edge says he won't let her go out alone and says he's coming with her. They walk off, and Kevin Owens walks in. He says he's looking forward to his match with Damien Priest. The two go back and forth, and Owens begs Priest not to show his new side. And get this, Brandon. The Kevin Owens show is back. Kevin Owens signed a 3-year, $3 million deal with this company to do the Kevin Owens show.
Easy money, bro.
KO show with Seth Rollins. Owens welcomes us to the show. He says he wishes he was happy to be in Tulsa, but that would be a lie because this place is brutal. He says he is an honest man, and the truth is that tonight he has a special guest. He introduces Seth Rollins. KO thanks him for coming to the show. He says he admires Seth. He says there's so much to admire, but he admires the suits. He says tonight he looks marvelous. He says he admires his courage. He says it took Seth lots of guts to walk into the Lion's Den and go face-to-face with Roman Reigns and make him realize that he set the table for the head of the table. I actually like that line.
I did too. I kind of wish Seth would have said that Friday.
Yeah. I was like, when Kevin Owens said that, I'm like, this can't be a script. He went off the script and said that because if there was a script, they would have had Seth say that.
Yeah, no way. That would have made too much sense.
Seth says he hit the nail on the head and that Roman is scared. He says he took the low road by taking shots at his family and sent his cousins after him who couldn't get the job done. He says Roman is playing checkers while he is playing chess. He says he's going to take the title and take it from blue to red and bring it back to Raw. He says when he wins, he will be the best champion. He says he is going to get rid of Lashley tonight, and Kevin Owens says he has a big announcement. He says nobody will see this coming. Brandon, I surely didn't see this coming. I had no idea this was happening. Absolutely no clue. I was absolutely mind-numbingly confused and shocked. There are no words to describe how shocked I was when I heard this. Kevin Owens is going to be in the Royal Rumble match. I can't believe this. Brandon, can you believe that? I can't. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. This is so unbelievable and shocking. I can't believe it. Anyway. He says once he wins the Rumble and Seth wins the title from Roman, they will give them the biggest main event of all time. Seth freaking Rollins versus Kevin freaking Owens. If they shove the word freaking down my throat one more time, I may just overdose on like Advil.
Wait. Will.
What?
The biggest WrestleMania match of all time? Wow, we definitely didn't see this 2 years ago.
Right? Man, they suck. Yeah, that's another thing. I mentioned this on the podcast a few weeks ago. Why are we trying to act like they're friends? They hated each other 2 years ago.
And 2 years ago, like 4 months ago.
I'm starting to think everybody on the Raw roster is bipolar. One day they hate each other. 6 months later, they love each other.
I think everybody on the roster has short-term memory loss.
Yeah, they're like me. And not many people know that. That's an inside joke with me and Brandon. But Brandon knows what I'm talking about. Damien Priest comes out. Rollins berates Priest. Priest says they're delusional idiots. The people who write this show are delusional idiots. He says there isn't a single person who believes Seth Rollins can beat Roman Reigns, and he calls Owens a liar and says if he doesn't want to see the Damien in him, he shouldn't wake him up. He says he spoke to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, and their match starts now. Brandon, one big thing I got from this segment. We finally got the... Yeah, I don't want to call it a name drop because there was no name, but we finally got the tease. Seth Rollins said he's going to take the title from blue to red and bring it back to Raw. You said it to me last night. I'm a little scared.
I'm scared, but I'm still going to be the odd one out here and go against everybody in the community saying I still think Roman's going to win a Rumble.
Yeah. I still think WWE may be smart enough to realize that Roman Reigns winning is the right decision. However, I would not be shocked if Seth Rollins wins.
No, I would not be. But it'd be dumb to take the title off Roman after him just hitting this, this milestone.
Right.
And, long-term Universal Champion. And,
right.
I was just talking to, some people yesterday. And, they were saying how, well, the title unification match is dumb because why would they retire the Universal title this early? I'm like, my man, it's been around since 2016. What are you talking about?
Right. It'll be 5.5 years by April.
Not only that, if they retire the Universal title with Roman being the last to hold it, then he would be the one and only longest reigning Universal Champion.
Right. There would be nobody that even threats his record. And that's a good point. Because another thing is, I think eventually if a guy like Walter is the guy to take the title off of Roman Reigns, you don't want Roman having a beatable record. Because that puts you in a position to have Walter beat the record. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Roman is champion Roman is really he's holding a big portion of wrestling right now in the world together.
He's holding the WWE together.
He's holding the WWE together. Roman losing that time. This character, the way I envision it, when Roman Reigns loses the title, he goes away for a good 6 months.
Yes.
Because him staying on TV after losing the championship makes
licking his wounds. Sense. He'd have to lick his wounds. It makes 0 sense. Yes. Now, and then on top of that,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say on top of that. And then if he stays on TV, they're going to give him a rematch, and then he's just going to lose the rematch, so that's 2 losses. Anywho, what were you going to say, Brandon?
I was just saying, and then, whenever he comes back, you can either keep him as a heel, or then you can try to turn him back babyface, like you were talking about. And then the fans will be more accepting of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But regardless of, make sure you're smart as to who takes the title off Reigns, because whoever takes that title is going to take all the power that came with it.
Right. There was a transfer of power that has to happen. Think about it like this. In royalty, in England, you think about when they transfer the power over to somebody new. What happens? Not only did they take the title of king, what else do they take? They take the power and the responsibilities of being king. You need to make sure whoever beats Roman Reigns is going to be able to take the power and responsibility of being the Universal Champion. And right now, I don't think there's anybody who can benefit from that. All right.
They throw the build-up stars. You know.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Kevin Owens and Damien Priest to start with the big technical game, or the two start with a technical game, and Priest hits a big shoulder block. Owens dumps him to the apron, and Priest hits an enziguri and a kick. Owens stomps away and hits a senton. Owens works him over and they trade strikes. Owens pleads with Priest and goes for a cheap shot, but Priest hits a spinning kick. Owens escapes and Priest follows him. He hits a super kick from Owens, who slides into the ring, breaking the count, and then hit a splash off the apron. We go to commercial break. They trade punches and Priest hits kicks. He plants Owens face first and hits an elbow in the corner. He goes for a suplex, but Owens counters and Priest comes back with a big clothesline followed by a broken arrow. Priest goes back on offense and sits Owens up top. He hits strikes up top and goes for the superplex, but Owens counters and sends Priest down. He hits a senton for 2. Owens goes for the stunner twice, and Priest goes for the reckoning, but Owens catches him with a pop-up powerbomb. Priest hits a kick and a south of heaven for 2. Owens pretends to injure his leg, and the referee calls the trainer over. Owens shakes it off immediately and hits a stunner for the win. Brandon, I did not like the way they had Damien Priest lose in this match, but as I said, you can't have Kevin Owens lose either. They booked themselves into a corner. We talked about earlier what we thought, but do you see this leading to a United States Championship match at the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I do. And I'm not even gonna hold you. Not even gonna hold you. When Priest came out, he not only insulted Owens, he insulted Rollins too. So
Right.
if they do want to put the title on Rollins, and have him go into the title at Mania, and Priest loses the U.S. title, at the Rumble, and is in the Rumble match later on, I can see him winning. He'd go into face Rollins in Mania because they've been building him up pretty nice. So that's a possibility.
That's
Do
a
I think
good
it's gonna
point.
happen? No, but it could.
Yeah, I was actually, as you were talking about that, I was like, what if they're building Damien Priest up for something bigger? He could lose the title to Kevin Owens, and he'd only have 2 losses, so I get in his time on Raw that's an acceptable number of losses. But, obviously no losses or 1 loss looks a lot better. However, if they put the title on Seth Rollins, I think the right thing to do is could you have the Owens match? Sure. Do I think that's the right thing to do? No, I think you need to build a new star out of it. And I could definitely see them doing Damien Priest. But I'm not ready to say that Roman's even losing the title. So
I just don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. It's hard to believe that all of this, the last what is it now? 506, 7 days
506.
was all for naught if they have him lose it to Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Nikki Ash backstage. Nikki Trash. She says her plan isn't any different. She says she stands on her own and can't. Oh, I don't know what I wrote. But she says she stands on her own. She says Rhea is the one who broke up their team and ruined their friendship. She says Rhea is the villain and she is the closest people of Tulsa have ever seen that's close to a superhero. She says sometimes heroes have to do things that regular people don't understand. Now, I thought that line was a diss at Superman. I don't know where Superman's from. I know it's somewhere out there in the Midwest, but I don't know. But I thought she was taking a dig at Superman, maybe like being from Tulsa, and then her saying that's the closest they've seen and like dissing Superman. I don't know. Anyway, nobody cares about Nikki Trash. Alpha Academy graduation ceremony. Gable greets everyone and insults the Tulsa crowd. He brags about his degree and his GPA. He says it makes sense that they are booing because the odds of anyone from Tulsa having a master's is slim to none. He says he could talk about his list of achievements, but tonight isn't about him, it's about Otis. He says he is proud of him, and last week he passed his final test and claimed the rightful spots as Raw Tag Team Champions. He says tonight it's his honor and pleasure to present Otis with a diploma from the Alpha Academy. Otis says he has reached his full potential, and he has a warning. Expect full carnage to anyone who messes with the titles or Alpha Academy. Riddle's music hits, and he walks to the ring with a cap and gown. He says Otis looks tight. He says when he got invited, he had to make a special speech. He says he wrote it this morning at the buffet. Apparently, Creative wrote the show at the buffet, too. He says, fellow graduates and Tulsinians, It feels like just last week, Randy and I were champs. They were on the edge and just a couple of wild stallions running free. But today is graduation day, and their lives will change forever. And just like Randy always says, life comes at you fast. Gable cuts him off and says Riddle wasn't invited, and Tulsa can't afford to lose another brain cell. Riddle says he is here to give them their props for winning, and Gable says he ruined the greatest night of Otis's life, and assumes he is here for the rematch. He makes a weed joke, something about lighting it twice. I missed the line. He says a rematch sounds cool too. Gable says it's no wonder Randy left him high and dry. He says they will give him a rematch if he can pass an Alpha Academy mental aptitude challenge. He says you and Randy versus the Alpha Academy in a series of tests to see who the mentally superior team is, because they already proved who the more physically dominant team is. Gable demands Otis goes after Riddle. The two argue on the ramp, and out of nowhere, Randy comes in to hit the RKO. Riddle takes Otis out from behind, and Riddle puts the cap and gown on Randy. Randy grabs a mic and says they accept. So next week we'll get a mental test. Look, Brandon, I think we know where this is going. They're going to get a rematch at the Rumble. They're going to lose. It's going to be Riddle's fault this time, and Randy Orton is going to turn on Matt Riddle. Is that how you think we're leading here?
Yeah, I definitely see it happening like that. And, this is usually the best segment on the show. So.
Yeah, segment-wise, this is the best thing on the show.
Yeah, Chad Gable, he's really a highlight on Raw.
Chad Gable is one of very few bright spots on Raw.
Yeah,
he does what he's supposed to do. Go ahead.
His educational talk. There's always comparisons of him and Kurt Angle. His educational talk is like Kurt Angle's being sus on accident talks.
Yes.
Actually, I find it very hilarious. He's definitely a bright spot, and I just hope they keep building some type of momentum with Gable, bro. Otis is doing really good too. So this is definitely an interesting rivalry with RK Bro, but I hope this just leads to a match with Riddle and Randy at Mania.
Yeah, and I think it will. I think they know. I think at least here they're going to do the right thing and have them face at Mania. Now that they've lost the titles, there's no reason to keep them as a tag team after the Rumble. Now here's the thing. Gable is doing a great job as, tag team champion. I mean, you can't really say he's done a great job as champion because they just won them, but he's been doing a great job in the role he's in, and I'm honestly very much enjoying what they're doing. However, they need to start building teams. There's 2 other teams, 3 other teams. There's 4 teams on there, on that brand, besides these 2 teams that we saw tonight. And if you want to count the Hurt Business. But they need to start building up the Street Profits and the Mysterios for a triple threat match at WrestleMania. And later tonight, we saw that 8-man tag team match. I think we're leading towards something there. So we'll have to see. But that's all we got for that segment. Vince McMahon is in his office watching tape of Finn Balor beating Austin Theory. Theory thanks him for the rematch with Finn. He says he knows he lost, but he beat down Finn after the match and nearly ended his career, and it's like a half victory. Vince says he wants Theory to beat Finn up tonight and beat him up after the match, or else Vince is going to beat him up. He says by the time he's finished, there will be blood, snot, and broken teeth, and he will take a picture and send it to his mom. Yes, but a women's street fight is gory and self-mutilating. Make it make sense, Brandon.
Yeah, but you can break this young man's teeth, have him bloodied, take a selfie and send it to his mother.
Oh, but that's not gory and self-mutilating.
Yeah, neither was Shayna Baszler becoming a vampire and biting Becky Lynch on the neck.
Or The Fiend getting lit on fire by Randy Orton.
I know I'm missing. I know there's a billion more things too. But you guys get the gist.
Oh, Seth Rollins taking Rey Mysterio's eye out. That is not gory and self-mutilating, though. Anyway, Austin Theory and Finn Balor. They go to the technical game to start. Theory throws Balor around on the outside, and Balor fights in with a sling blade. Go to commercial. Balor hits offense for 2 on Theory. He goes to work and Balor hits a sling blade, but Theory throws Balor against the ropes and looks for the ATL. Balor counters out, and Theory rolls him up for 2. Balor misses the coup de grace, and Theory hits a rolling dropkick. I love that rolling dropkick. He hits the ATL and gets a 3 count. After the match, he beats down Balor and hits another ATL. He taunts him and takes another selfie. I don't know what they're doing with Finn Balor. It's like he can find success everywhere but the main roster.
Sad, man. And I
Very
thought
sad.
this time, I really thought this time they were gonna do something. I don't know what they're waiting on. But
I really don't know.
There's nothing to wait for. All I know is that he needs to have some type of pivotal part in Mania, because
I wouldn't be mad if he was in a United States title match either, if they're going to keep the title on Damien Priest.
Or if they take it off and put it on Kevin Owens.
Oh, yeah, it works either way, actually.
So, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, WrestleMania.
Not mad at that at all.
You won't find me complaining.
Rhea Ripley backstage. She says she never intended on ruining the friendship. She says they could have stayed friends if Nick and supported one another, but Nikki ruined it. She says she doesn't forget things easily, and if Nikki thinks she ruined things, she is more delusional than she thought, and she will have to remind everybody who the real Rhea Ripley really is. Then we get Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Trash. Before the match, Zelina and Carmella cut a promo that had me contemplating my past years of existence on planet Earth. Nikki attacked Rhea before the match and threw her into the steel steps. No match happened. They just had Rhea get beaten down by Nikki. This is pointless. And we're prolonging it and keep putting it on.
Let me tell you guys something. This, Nikki being crazy and calling herself a superhero, leading to her being crazy again, is genius. And let me tell you, that is exactly why it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's genius.
Because it's smart and good booking, and they're not going to do it. Dana Brooke backstage hyping up Reginald before the match. Akira Tozawa, Tamina, R-Truth, and a referee are all seen eating popcorn in the background. Reginald gets down on himself, and Dana hypes him up. Truth says Dana must hate Reggie for letting him fight Omos. Brandon, we got Omos versus Reginald. Now, when I heard this match announced, I didn't take notes on this as I don't care. Like when I see a segment coming up, I just put down I didn't take notes. But there was nothing to take notes on. This match went 15 seconds. Brandon, we've brought it up on the show. We've heard other podcasters bring it up. Multiple in the community who think it would be a travesty if it happened. Could you imagine Royal Rumble going off the air with Omos winning the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, man.
I might just shoot myself.
I can't fathom it.
I don't know, man. My biggest fear is that Omos wins the Royal Rumble of the Elimination Chamber. Because I don't see a way Omos gets eliminated, and especially in a chamber, I don't see how he gets eliminated unless they all team up on him.
Somebody big, let's bring in. I don't know. Somebody just has to eliminate this man.
Can we drag the Great Khali out of the depths of India and have him just bury Omos? See, normally I don't like when they bury stars, but the one star I would be fine with is Omos.
All I know is that Omos is going to have a championship this year. And that thought in general just scares me.
Yes. I don't know, man. At this point, I'd rather have them bring back somebody like Goldberg or the Great Khali to face him at WrestleMania. That's a good piss break for me during the show. Fine by me. Anyway, Maurice makes her way to the ring. She says Miz couldn't be here tonight, and he has a big mouth, so he agrees to things without asking her first. So she has to clean up his mess. Right there, I knew Miz was there. She invites Beth Phoenix to the ring and asks her to be alone so they can talk woman to woman. Beth comes out with Edge, and Maurice asks them to stay up on the ramp. Maurice says the match at the Rumble needs to be canceled. Maurice says neither her or Beth want the match, and the crowd starts to boo her. She got some heat here. She says they have been through wars and friendships backstage. Remember the 2-minute matches? Yes! I saw one earlier tonight. And on Friday, I saw a 3-second match. Oh, but do you remember the 2-minute matches as if it didn't happen 2 hours ago? Maurice says they made the women's division what it is today, and they are great at what they do. Maurice, you didn't do anything. Sasha Banks and Bayley made the women's division what it is today. I'm saying this lightly, but Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch made the women's division what it is today. Trish Stratus made the women's division what it is today. Lita, Molly Holly. In a sense, Tori Wilson. In a sense, now I know, she was a diva before her time. However, if you listen to a lot of the women's wrestlers today, an inspiration of theirs was Tori Wilson. She says women have main evented WrestleMania because of what they did. No, they main evented WrestleMania because of Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey. She says they should be on the same team and should be friends. She says their kids should their kids should hang out and be friends, and they should talk things out. Beth says she speaks for everybody when she says shut up. She says that she isn't buying what Maurice says and tells her that she takes acting lessons from her husband. Beth says she will boil it down simply. The match is happening, and she isn't missing the opportunity to tag with her husband for the first time in history, and she isn't missing the chance to glam slam Maurice. She says she will give them a preview right now and walks into the ring. Miz comes out of nowhere and attacks Edge. Edge fights him off, and Maurice takes Beth out. As they walk up the ramp, she took her out with a purse. As they walk up the ramp, they pull a brick out of the purse. Please hit me over the head with a brick during this show. What is this, week 8 of this feud? I think we've been running on this feud for about 2 months.
Let me tell you, this is not a good way to butt into Edge's prime. Because Edge is in his prime right now.
Yeah, you can't deny Edge is in his prime. Yeah.
Ended. Ready for it to be over.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say. Street Profits backstage. Montez says they had a plan and will execute it to get the job done. Dawkins says with all the bodies in the ring, it'll be a mini Royal Rumble. Ford says they are family. Or Dawkins actually said they are family, but he asks Ford if he'll throw him over the rope. The Mysterios walk in, and then apparently they just got out of remedial math class. The Mysterios walk in, and Ray says both him and Dom will be outlasting 29 other men. Brandon, now, I don't consider myself a math genius of any kind. I'm not the greatest in math. I don't pride myself on my math skills. However, I do know that 29 plus 2 is 31 and not 30.
Yeah, these guys definitely went to Steiner's Academy for the Gifted.
Yeah. Anyway, Dom says they will take the Mysterio name to the main event of WrestleMania. Ford says as if the Street Profits don't get to the main event first. And up next, we had a pointless, meaningless, but also it was a good tag team match. The Profits and the Mysterios teamed up against the Dirty Dogs and Apollo Crews with a Z's. I didn't really take notes on this, but the Profits and the Mysterios get the win. The match was good with the From the Heavens by Montez Ford. After the match, the Mysterios throw the Street Profits to the outside, and then Ray throws Dominic to the outside. And I know, Brandon, we got to move on quickly here. You have somewhere to be.
But how many more
We're not that far from the end.
All right, let's go.
All right. Anyway, like I said earlier, they need to start building these two teams up for a match with the Alpha Academy at WrestleMania, in my opinion. And they need to put the titles back on the. Actually, I want to see how it goes before I say they need to put the titles back on the Street Profits because Alpha Academy is not that bad.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think they're entertaining.
um,
They keep this up, they'll be pretty entertaining.
they just teased like a. I mean, I wouldn't want to call it a tease, but Ray basically threw his own son out. Do we think Ray is at the point where he wants to retire, especially with him getting the cover of the game? Or do you think they're doing this as a kind of beginning of the end for Ray?
And there were actually people complaining about Rey Mysterio being on the cover. Why?
I'm a huge Rey Mysterio fan.
He's a legend. But yeah, the only thing I got from that was, Rey Mysterio. One thing I know for sure is that Dominic's eliminating him from the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
That's 100% certain. And yeah, I think Ray, his time's coming down to to end. But I think we still may have a little bit of stuff with him. I mean, not like for everything, but it's. I can definitely tell he's starting to get ready for it.
Right.
I think when he does, though, it needs to be taken as a big deal.
For sure, and we've been saying for a little bit that we could see Dominic being his last match. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Ray puts Dominic over on his way out.
And I wouldn't even mind if they did what they did with Kurt Angle and have him have like these series of dream matches.
Yep.
On his way out. And then finish it off with Dom.
Right.
So
I think it'd be a dream for both of them to be in the ring together.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to do that, and if it's not the end for Ray, they could just do a triple threat tag team match, and they need to start building both of these teams up. I don't see the heel tendencies from the Profits either, but that's just a side note. They kind of put those out quickly. The career retrospective on Lashley and Lesnar. Oh, was that good?
That was really good.
Miz and Maurice are leaving the arena. Miz says it took one shot to take down Beth Phoenix, and now she needs to go get medical attention. See, he says he must be the greatest husband ever because he remembered that next week is Maurice's birthday. And he will throw the biggest birthday extravaganza of all time because he loves her. If being a good husband means you remembered your wife's birthday, then everybody's a good husband. Anyway, Alexa Bliss, her journey back to Raw. The therapist welcomes back Alexa and says there's a lot less breakable objects in the office. Whoopee. He says he can't tolerate what happened last week and says she has a lot of work to do, but they will soon send her on the road to recovery. He says they will do some word association. He asks about trust, friend, home, doll, and the answer to all of those is Lily. And then he finally says imaginary, and Alexa Bliss stands up like she's going to do something, and then the therapist is like, oh no, our time is up. And he walks out, then Alexa sits down and calms herself down, rather. Brandon, this was worse than last week's segment. I didn't think it could get much worse. But in a sense, these segments are kind of like a microcosm of what Raw is. You think it can't get any worse, and then it does. I don't know, man. What were your thoughts on the segment?
Alexa Bliss's reactions are me in the segment by segment. I just want to break things and then stand up and just frown and pout.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what they're going with this. I hope it's not leading to an Alexa Bliss Rumble win.
Oh, and one of the marks on Twitter saying, this is leading to Bray Wyatt coming back.
No, it's not, you idiot. Anybody who believes that has the IQ of an empty Diet Dr. Pepper can. I don't even know. I'm running out of things. Anyway, these segments are not good. I don't know why anybody thinks they're good. Oh my God, we actually have stuff announced for next week.
What?
Can you believe that?
Wow,
You want to talk about
not
Kevin
30
Owens'
minutes early.
shocking announcement. Let's talk about this shocking announcement. We actually have things that we know are going to happen next week.
Oh, boy.
We are having the Alpha Academy Academic Challenge.
Yes.
The Maurice birthday extravaganza.
Oh, no.
And a Lashley and Lesnar weigh-in, which I think will be good.
That'll be good.
But, Brandon, this show next week looks very segment-heavy, per usual.
Which is understandable because, it is the go-home show for Rumble.
Yeah.
So.
But I think there's a way that they can work good wrestling into the show if they want to, but I don't think they want to. So.
You know what's crazy, Will?
What?
Last year we were in the Thunderdome, and by this time, I was already more excited for the Royal Rumble, and our fans are back for the Rumble for the first time in a few years, and I'm not even excited for it.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. I don't know. Like I said, they fail to create natural hype. And I think a part of the excitement last year was the fact that there were so many guys out there that could return. This year we don't really have that. There's two people I could see returning. There's two people I could see returning, and that's it. Ronda Rousey and Paige, and I think we see Paige. I don't think we see Ronda, but it could happen.
Yeah, all the returns you see are for the women, none for the men.
Yeah, which I think is, I don't know how to feel about that. Anyway, our main event, we got Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. Technical game to start. Lashley hits a big shoulder tackle and taunts. They go back to the technical game, and Rollins hits a sling blade. He looks for the pedigree, but Lashley throws him off and looks for the hurt lock. Rollins counters and sends Lashley to the floor. He hits a suicide dive, which doesn't affect Lashley. He goes for another one, and Lashley catches him, throwing him down with an overhead throw. Rollins slams Lashley's leg into the post and wraps it in the post. Wraps it in the ropes, rather. He hits a drop kick to the knee and works it over. He locks on a calf crusher type hold, and Lashley fights up. Rollins hits a dragon screw and locks in the single leg crab. Lashley kicks him off to the outside. Rollins slides back in looking for the stomp. Lashley instead hits a flatliner and sends both men down. Lashley hits throws and suplexes. He hits a shoulder in the corner and a neck breaker. He looks for the vertical suplex, but Rollins counters out, and Lashley hits a dominator for 2. Rollins counters a spear with a knee and follows with a rolling elbow. Lashley looks for a power slam, but Rollins counters out and gets a sloppy pedigree for 2. Further bearing Triple H because now it's a setup. Rollins heads up top and Lashley follows him. He grabs Seth by the ropes and transitions into a very good-looking overhead throw from the top. The Hurt Business come out of nowhere and attack Lashley, causing a DQ. They throw him into the ring post and Lashley fights it back. He takes them both out and spears Benjamin through the barricade. Then the Usos hop the barricade and attack Seth Rollins from behind with super kicks to close the show. Brandon, I want you to explain something to me. Why are they still being called the Hurt Business?
No.
It makes no sense. I don't know, though.
These guys are clearly like Nikki Ash and in some type of denial.
Right. They're in denial. But one thing I want to say is I don't know why the Hurt Business is needed here. They don't fit into any of the storylines going into Mania. Now, it would have been different if the Usos just came out and attacked Seth Rollins and had them, kind of take him out. And even then, you could soften up Bobby Lashley if you're the Usos, and they could use that logic to say, Roman Reigns wants to fight Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So we soften up Bobby Lashley so Brock Lesnar could have an easier time winning so that we could ensure that he's fighting Roman Reigns. There's a way to explain it if you do it right. If it makes sense, there's a way to explain it. Now, don't get me wrong, the match wasn't bad, but I don't know. There's no real reason we should have had this because it books them into a corner. Brandon, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, it was a good match. And, with Cedric and Sean coming out, and I feel bad saying this, but anytime I see Bobby Lashley stand next to Shelton and Cedric or being in the same atmosphere, it lessens his star power because they're losers.
Yeah. It really does. And they could have gone so differently with the Hurt Business, but they decided not to. Anyway, another piss poor Monday Night Raw with full of corner booking decisions and stuff we didn't care about. Next week, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better because it's segment heavy, and usually the segment heavy shows in that company are not great. But that's all.
We can expect 2 good segments.
Yeah, expect 2 good segments, but that's about it. Everything else will probably be bad. But guys, that's all we got for you. Brandon's got to get out of here. As do I, actually. I have stuff to do. But make sure to like and comment on the video. Answer the question of the day. Today's question of the day is... what is today's question of the day? Brandon, give us a question of the day.
Man, I actually don't know. Trying to think, what is not really any big news. I mean, what are you guys most excited for the Royal Rumble?
Yeah,
we're a week away, so
that's a good one. What are you guys most excited for? Put that down in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe as well as turn on the bell for all post notifications so you never miss when we upload a podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast and on Twitter. For the 3rd podcast in a row, I have nothing to point to. Follow us on Twitter at 4wall_wrestling. But that's all we got for you guys. Thanks for joining us today. I don't think we're going to do an NXT review tomorrow, so we'll see you Wednesday. Actually, Thursday for the AEW Dynamite review. And then Saturday for the SmackDown and Rampage review. And then, as always, on Sunday, Breaking the Wall episode 6. Brandon, I believe we're going to do a How to Book the Royal Rumble show properly.
Yes.
And we'll also go over the news. It's Tuesday, and we have no news yet to cover. We might go over some WWE 2K news as well, but usually the news picks up at the end of the week. But thank you guys for joining us today. This was your Raw review for Brandon. I'm Will. You just heard your Raw review right here on the Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. Peace.